Well, good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, and so it is time to start our meeting. We'll begin this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we've got the heaters on and we'll hope things warm up. We have in attendance this evening, we have Ed Pianalto, Ramon Reed, myself, Tom Gibb, and Jared Garrison. So we are all here. First order of business. Sarah, do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
I want to make a public comment.
Can we get on late with public comments?
Yeah, as long as it related to an agenda item or is it something separate?
Yeah,
Both?
yeah.
Okay, so you can make a public comment for an item that is not on the agenda, but if it's an agenda item, then it needs to be during that agenda item.
This is Chad Marnell, Lieutenant with the Fire Department.
Can't hear you.
This is Chad Marnell, Lieutenant with the Fire Department. My question is, who turned off the water in town? Why did you turn off the water? Put everybody at risk. In the years past, we've always had the water turned off after icing occurs, after the ditches overflow. That didn't happen this year. Fire Department has zero notification. Don't know where the breakdown of communication happened, but somebody needs to step up and say they screwed up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnell. Do we need it? Okay, go ahead, Chuck.
As long as it's not on an agenda item, it can be now.
If you consider what I did.
Hold it closer.
If you consider what I did the other day, a screw up for a guy that's only been here a short period of time. I was the water ditch commissioner in 9, 10, and 11. Okay, here you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I was the water ditch commissioner in 9, 10, and 11. Very familiar with the ditches. I brought them back to life. They were operating at 40% and we got them up to 130%. So I guess that was a significant improvement. Anyway, the ditches were always turned off the 10th, 13th of October. Okay. And if anybody had looked at what potentially was supposed to come this past weekend, we could have had up to 2 feet of snow if that road had continued to curl out of 4 corners up here. That little narrow path past the red gate up there on the northeast end of town, there's 2 feet of snow on it, very risky, potential of falling into Forks Creek. So, as far as fire protection goes, I talked with Tom, and said I would turn them off a couple of weeks ago when it was the time to do it. Yes, there wasn't any ice on the ditches, but we had this weather come in. Somebody would have been glad me we had done this, okay? No land wasn't known. He called me and said he had 3 complaints. And I said, I forgot to call you. No mistake. I'll take responsibility for it. No problem. Okay. But if someone's got a beef, you want to turn the ditches on, you know where the keys are at. Turn them on. Knock yourself out.
Hey, okay, thank you very much.
Tom, I do have a question on that topic. Given, you can sit down, Chuck.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Yep.
Since the weather is supposed to be relatively nice for the next 10 days, that is a fire ditch for fire protection. I would suggest we go ahead and turn them back on until we have a freeze-up condition, and we can turn them off relatively quick.
Yes, and I have taken Rand under advisement on this. And he said, let's see what this weekend does. And if we get nice, we'll.
I'm just cautious that if we should have an emergency.
Yes.
Because I was there the night the truck caught on fire. Had they not pulled water out of the ditch, we'd have lost the house.
I understand.
So I would be proactive Monday It's supposed to be extremely nice this week.
Yeah, I understand we are, so we can work on that. Okay, Mr. Adams.
I just mentioned it in the last meeting, but I wanted to thank Mr. Reed for starting to clean up his property and take the cars and stuff off. So I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. Moving on then. The next item on the agenda is the town attorney report. Clay, do you have a report for us?
I do. Sarah, what did you want me to update?
On your conversation with Mr. Kuzno at the state.
Oh yeah, thank you. So the board asked me to reach out to our CDPHE representative, who's Mr. Chuck Cusino. Mr. Cusino, as you're aware, he is the I believe it's called Rule 24, whatever it is, but he does it for the entire state. And so he's active, obviously, with towns and cities. And I think at least one or two of our board members and or community members have been in touch with Mr. Cusino regarding the status of our septic and our sewer systems within the town. I kind of walked him through what our process would be for enforcing violations of the CDPHE rules as promulgated, and he agrees with our proposed course of action for any future violations. He did note that it's atypical for a town of Pitkin size to be their own health board, and that typically that would be enveloped with the county. However, he understood that both the town and the county wanted to keep their health and sanitation boards separate from each other. And there's nothing, it's still the same regulations and it's still all the same application of enforcement. That was really the only big part of our conversation. So I'm in contact with him and have his have an easy way to contact him now. If something were to come up and we had any questions, we could reach out to Chuck. But in the meantime, I think we need to just keep the board as it is and enforce violations as we see them. Pending your questions, that's all I have for the report.
So yeah, this is Tom Gibb. So keep the board as it is and enforce violations as or when we see them. And so my question then is the procedure for that. A little more input if you've got any, or is this just once we see a violation?
If you see a violation now, our current process is to notice the violation and give the violator an opportunity to cure on their own. If they don't cure on their own, then the town has the right, especially, well, if it's an emergency, we have the right to immediate cause and curing. But if it's something that we see as like a violation pursuant to the regulation, then we can notice it as long as it doesn't pose an emergency, obviously, to neighbors in the community. If somebody's just emptying raw sewage onto the ground or into a waterway, et cetera, then we have the right to mitigate immediately. If that's not the case and we see some sort of violation that we're concerned about, we have the right to notice them, of course, and they have a reasonable amount of time to cure. If they do not cure, then we can cure on our own, and then whatever costs we have, we can assign to the violator, either through fines and or through, costs associated with curing the violation. And then those liens would be assigned. If they weren't paid, we could assign those as liens on the property until they were paid, or until such time we decided to foreclose on the property to pay town back for that cost.
Any other questions for Mr. Bookner?
Yeah, this is Ed Pialto, just a review on our Board of Health minutes. And I know one of the questions, I think Ramon actually brought it up and suggested that we do a work session with both Chuck Cousineau and our town attorney to go over some of the questions we might have. Just curious of where we stand on that, if that was positioned with Mr. Cousineau or where we stand.
Yeah, I think he sounded very, he sounded very approachable and very open to that sort of meeting. If we scheduled it, I think he'd be happy to come and answer any questions. I would suggest we do it to, the best way to probably do that is to try to assign a work session, either a half an hour, an hour before a regular meeting, maybe. And just make sure that Mr. Cousineau has been given enough time to do that. If not, I'm happy to meet at a different time. I just know that I think he's fairly busy traveling, and I don't know what his general work schedule looks like. It didn't take long for us to catch up with each other, just a matter of, a week or two before our schedules aligned. But if it's something that we know we're going to already have a meeting set and or a work session set, just let me know, or you guys can reach out to him and just make sure that I'm available and he's available. And I think he's open to that. He sounded like he was very happy to help.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything else, Clay?
No, sir.
Okay, then. We will move on to our next item, which is 10.1. Approve meeting minutes, September regular meeting for the September regular meeting, the September 10th Board of Health meeting, and the September 24th special meeting. So we will start with the September regular meeting.
Can I just make a quick suggestion?
Yes.
If we want to go through and just make any additions, corrections, changes all at once, we could do these all in one motion. Just accept as amended.
All three at once. Let's give that a try.
I'd suggest this would start with September. Regular meeting. So we're on the same page. We go through again.
Say that again, please.
So we're all talking about the same meeting.
Right.
Regular meeting.
All right, we'll start with the regular meeting. Which is what, the 16th?
Yes.
Okay, any additions or amendments there? Corrections?
I already spoke with Sarah, so I don't have any more. Mine were just typos.
Thank you. So we all happy with the September regular meeting? Okay, then. We shall move on to the September 10th Board of Health meeting. This was a difficult meeting that seemed to, yeah. Any questions, comments, or corrections for that one? I haven't made any notes on this. Anybody else?
I didn't make any changes, but I just had the one question that I asked Clay about. But that's-
That was it. Okay. Okay. So moving on then to the September 24 special meeting. This was basically about our snow plowing and our telephone service.
I do have one addition that I recall. It's under the first bullet, down under trustee Ed, the second paragraph. That he has talked to a number of constituents and they said the RFP should be done. I recall saying, since we are using taxpayer money and there are taxpayers, taxpaying citizens down the line.
So if they're using taxpayer money.
No, since we are using taxpayer money and there are taxpaying citizens in town, we'd like to bid on it.
All right. Anything else? At this time, I would take a motion to accept the minutes for these three meetings as amended.
I'll make that motion. This is Jared.
I'll second for a moment.
Okay, it's been motioned. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the minutes for the September regular meeting, the September 10th Board of Health meeting, and the September 24 special meeting, say aye.
I,
Motion carries. Okay, next item. To discuss with possible action, adopting resolution 2024-7. This is regarding unpaid boards, workers' compensation. Sarah, would you give us a little recap on that?
I sure can. Can we quickly do the treasurer's report before we get to that one? 10-2.
Did you skip?
I skipped one. You're correct. Backing up then, folks.
Had me fooled.
What's that?
You had me fooled.
Yeah, I had me fooled for a minute there too. So, yeah, we have the treasurer's report. And in the treasurer's, we get multiple pieces of paper, but that tell us where we are for the year to date and how this compares with last year. And then also the disbursements for the month. So are there any questions on those items?
this is Jared. I had a question about the 1021 towing, CB Towing LLC.
Yes.
That was for removal of obstructions in the town right of way.
I guess I still have a question. I have no idea.
There were posts in the town right of way and they were released as a dog company for the property owners to not remove them.
Okay, I've been gone, so I'm not up to speed. But if that's what I think it was, I thought that was on private property. Am I wrong?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
The following are declared
It's not
public
what I-
highway.
It's not, pardon me?
So that's down on the corner of Fifth and Fourth. Is where those
Oh.
folks were in the road.
Oh, 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those were on town property. Do we have a legal instrument showing where the town right of way actually is? And property lines have been moved?
What we have, I'll tell you what, I will let you ask that question of our attorney. So ask him one more time, so make sure that Mr. Bookner gets to hear this. And this is regarding the removal of the fence post in the property at the corner of Porch and Fifth. That property that has been used for many, many years as a public right of way, falling under state statutes that says the following are declared public right of ways, public highways. So go ahead and ask your question now.
Looks like this is it, you know, so the question is, there were 3 posts that were removed, 3 birdhouse posts. They're not fence posts, they were birdhouses on top of them. 2 of those were actually in the grass, 5 feet off the property line. 1 was in the gravel area, but all 3 posts were removed. And my understanding is we are claiming that as town right of way. Does there not need to be a legal instrument showing where that town right of way actually resides? It was 5 feet within the property line of the surveyed property.
Yeah, so we're talking about 2 different things. One is town right of way, and one is, surveyed plat. And in many cases, surveyed plats in towns and counties, especially in rural areas, aren't going to match up. So, for example, there's multiple plats in multiple areas. I could probably show you a dozen or more, within a few miles of the town and within the county that have roads that go right through the middle of them or right along the edge of them or, through a corner of them. And that's because those platted roads were typically done using a 2-dimensional plat well before anything was actually built. And so, it's not the town's responsibility to prove an existing right of way. If we have if there's a citizen that believes that their property is being encroached on or has otherwise been unlawfully taken, then they have certain civil actions that they could take against the town, and they'd have to get their own legal advice on that. Excuse me. As far as town right of way, if there's an established roadway, then we have the right to remove any obstacles that are within that roadway. I was not there. I did not see posts. So I can't speak to if they were in a yard or on the road. I can say that town right of ways come with an easement, but depending on how that road is worn, sometimes the road starts wearing into an easement. It's almost impossible to go back and say without go back to what you do is you go back to the road plat and you'd kind of look to see what the intent of the road was, whether it was meant to be a 15-foot alley, a 25-foot highway, a 20-foot county road, etc., and then determine based on where that center line is, how much space the roadway should be given. And so if the typical process for someone who wants to contest that there is public or town encroachment on private property, you could bring it, of course they could bring it to the town, which I think if we're talking about the same property has already been done. And then if they did not like that, then they can try to file quiet title against the town to get part of their property back, or take other civil action as their attorney, or if they were going to do it pro se as they see fit.
Can I ask another question? With that same issue? Even when the cause of the road moving is the tree that's on town property, what's the town's responsibility with that?
I don't, I'm sorry, sir. I guess you'd have to give me some more context to answer that question. I don't know what you mean by that.
So there's a tree that is on the town property on that same location. That tree has branches that are hanging out about 12 feet from the center of the tree out. And that is what has caused people to move around the tree and move onto the private property. That tree's on town property.
So you're saying a tree is encroaching into town right of way, forcing people to move, like basically drive around it and wear a place in the road where it shouldn't be.
That is correct.
I mean, I'm not there. I can't see it. I can't tell you one way or the other, but there is a response. I mean, if there is a tree in the road that's moving traffic, then, and it's the town's tree, then I suggest cutting the branches so that it's not overhanging into a road. But that's up to you guys. Without seeing it or without getting a survey, you know, that's a tough question to answer, you know, sitting over here.
Yes.
But if there are branches going into an established roadway, you should cut the branches.
So, this is Mr. Pianalto's view. My view is a little different as it comes from a Google Earth satellite imagery. And,
I move a tree in the satellite.
yeah. And so, one of the other issues down there is the proximity of the bridge and the topography. And making the left-hand turn off the bridge, causes a wide swing in the road. Making a right-hand turn onto the bridge causes a wide swing in the road. And either way would go around the tree. And so we've debated this and, a little bit. And, so I guess we'll leave it there for the moment.
I have another question. Like I said, I've been gone. I put 2 and 2 together and got 5, I guess, because I thought this was about 7th Street.
Well, then,
So
no,
this towing bill.
no.
So
What's
I'm
on
like,
7?
well, the cars are gone now. That's wonderful. But I mean, I'm sorry, I've been uninformed, but so if it's not about 7th Street, and it's about this other thing, then we have lots, let me rephrase this. We have, I don't even know if I should say numerous. We have some other property, private property, people's private property on town property and street property. So maybe we'll be getting more towing bills. I'm just concerned. I don't understand the towing bill in this instance when we have many others in town also. I'm not saying I'm opposed.
Well-
Don't know. I've been gone, but I'm
Yes.
confused.
And Chad was gone. And, it's an administrative action. If you've got posts in a driving surface that people drive, it becomes a liability for somebody. And so he was told, get your post out of the road or the town will do it for you. And he did not. And so the town did.
Okay, I guess. But for those of you who have property on the streets or on your private property, on town property, maybe this should be a real good picture for you to move your stuff, please. Am I wrong?
I think it's kind of backwards from the way you're thinking, but thank you. So any other questions on the, yeah, on the disbursements for the month?
So I do have another question. On the disbursements, Sarah's pay. as per the ordinance, you're supposed to have her timesheet with the disbursement. She did email it out at 7:01. I don't know if anybody else saw it. But I do have it up. But that is supposed to be so we can review it prior to the meeting and disbursement. So I would recommend getting that in with the disbursement.
So you would recommend that with the disbursements, we also have the timesheet from our town clerk.
That's what the ordinance says. When the disbursements are sent to the Board of Trustees, timesheets for employees are supposed to be.
So in the future, can we put that in motion?
Yeah.
Very well. All right, at this time, I would take a motion to accept the disbursements as written and as,
This is Ramon. I'll move approval of the disbursements as presented.
I'll help you.
Hey, Sarah. I can't hear anything. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
It's not picking up.
Okay, thank you.
not picking up.
Oh, now it is.
Okay. We have a motion to accept the disbursements with the caveat that in the future, Sarah will include her timesheet with her wages. And so I will second that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the disbursements, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Hey,
Nay.
We have two people not willing to accept the disbursements as recorded here or written. I don't know what we do with this.
Have no discussion between the second and the vote.
I will make a motion that we approve the disbursements along with the note on Sarah's timesheet, with the exception of CB towing.
With
I'll
the
second
exception of what?
CB towing.
Jared will second it.
So you don't want to pay the town's bills? That's correct?
I do not want the town to pay CB towing.
That's a bill to the town. So you don't want to pay the town's bill.
Don't believe the person that authorized that tow was authorized to call them and have it renewed.
Well, with that thought in mind, let me ask our attorney, Mr. Buchner, if this is an administrative action and as acting mayor, am I authorized to call for someone, a towing company in this case, to come and remove the post from the driving surface of this right of way?
As I understand it, each trustee on the board has administrative responsibilities. Is that correct? Because you have only one employee, which I understand is Sarah Gibb, and just correct. I don't mean this as rhetorical. I really want to make sure that my analysis is correct here. My understanding from the couple times I've been there and my discussions and experience so far has been that you have Sarah Gibb as your one employee. That's correct. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then each of the trustees have taken on certain roles and responsibilities as it pertains to different pieces of town business. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
and my understanding is that the mayor does have authority to take administrative action in the mayor's area of responsibility. That's my understanding of how you guys have done business in the past and in this instance. Again, stop me if I'm making an assumption that is an error, but that's how I've seen this board and some other smaller rural towns conduct businesses, that the trustees take on administrative decision making and liaison roles, because you don't have a public works director or a code enforcement officer or a planning and zoning official. And so remember, the trustees have to act in those capacities to make those decisions. And I would say typically, if that is the role of the mayor, as determined by your board, then yes, I mean, then I see it as an administrative action that would be most often taken by the person, the employee, or the trustee, in your case, acting as code enforcement and or planning and zoning official.
I would remind everyone on this board that you were all sitting here when I said you will either remove the post or the town will have them removed. And no one rebelled.
That was
No, that was
your.
your comment. You did not ask the board which way we should proceed. You made the decision.
I made the statement, this is an administrative action.
And you asked for no input on it whatsoever.
There is no need for administrative action to pull a post out of a street that somebody can come around the corner and run into. I guess, you're either going to agree with this or you're not. I find your disagreement to be at odds with the town's welfare. But that's my opinion. Anybody like to change their vote?
There's a motion on the table.
There is a motion on the table. And a motion was made and the motion was seconded. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the motion on the table is to accept the budget as we have received it, the disbursements rather, with the exception of the street maintenance to, what was it, D&H towing?
CB towing.
CB towing. So there was a motion and a second to accept this disbursements with that exception. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Aye. Aye. Well, what do we do when we're still made it on accepting a disbursements as recorded? Put it off? Kick it down the road?
You can't. The town has to pay the bills.
The town has to pay its bill.
So, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Go ahead.
so I have I'm concerned. Like I said, I didn't know it was this property. I thought it was actually 7th Street property. And so I would be opposed to, I mean, I'm opposed, I oppose how it's handled. But I'm opposed to the town removing and paying for other people's private property that's on street property, even if it is really street property. What I'm saying is, so what's to keep people from just not, because the town will come and take it away and you don't have to pay for someone to move your property. I don't like the whole thing.
I understand that. But you have a post in the middle of the road, in the middle of the driving circle. And, it's gotta go. What are you gonna do?
Can a public comment?
Not yet. If at all.
Amy.
There's something just not right about this.
Any suggestions, Mr. Buchner?
About not paying the bill?
What did he say?
He said about not paying the bill.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, I advise you pay the bill and deal with the issue, which is, the issue isn't that, you know, you have a worker within your community or county there that came and did something that he was acting on agency of the town. I wouldn't not pay that bill, because you're opening the town up to liability. Not only can he go after collection of that bill, you're going to have to pay more money in the future if an agent of the town, which is any one of the trustees or an employee of the town, he could reasonably have relied on that request to do that. I think the underlying issue here isn't the bill, it's the disagreement between whether or not the town should have called him in the first place. And so I would pay the bill and go back to the issue so that you're not making this exponentially worse by creating liability to the town for a worker. I'd say the other example I can give is me as an independent contractor. Maybe you ask me to do something and I do it, whether you like what I did or not. If the board or somebody that has agency asks me, and again, I work on behalf of the entire board, then you should pay them. It's the same thing. You got to pay my bill. I have ways, obviously, that I can go after towns for not paying. And this is not meant to be a threat anyway. That's not what I'm saying. I just mean there are mechanisms in place that allow for people to seek just payment. So my suggestion is to not punish a hardworking member of your community or county. My suggestion is to go to the core of the issue and maybe come up with some sort of internal policy before something like this would happen again. Being that if you don't pay this, whatever the bill is going to start compounding interest, and you're also open to the possibility of the worker having to file some sort of action against the town, which then will accrue attorney's fees and costs, one which I cannot win if the worker came and was acting on agency of the town.
Thank you, Mr. Buchner. We on? Thank you, Mr. Buchner.
I'd like to address this.
Can't hear you.
I haven't said anything yet.
Get real close.
We've just received advice from our attorney. And we also had one person explain her vote. And I want to say that I agree with both. I think we should pay our bills, our responsibility, and that the bill that's in question is a legal bill and it's a legal obligation of the town. What I disagree with is when Jara said something is wrong here. I think we very much disagree on the something. I think paying our bills is not wrong. And I think that the mayor was in his authority to incur this bill. What is wrong is that a private citizen was blocking public right of way. And that's what it comes down to, is whether that was wrong, or maybe you, Jared, do you feel that was correct? That was a good thing, a right thing in the public interest, that public right of way was being blocked by a private citizen?
I have never considered that a public right of way. I don't know where those surveys are. I don't know. Myself personally, I would not have done that as a private citizen. I would not have done that. But what I
But it
don't,
was done. And that's what we had to deal with.
I don't think that, I feel like the mayor pro tem, you were the one who authorized, is that right? I feel like he stepped outside his bounds. And I don't, what the attorney said about, anyone on the board having authority as an agent. I have never felt like I had the authority. Now, maybe you had it as mayor pro tem, I don't know. So that shocked me when Attorney Bookner said that we all had some administrative power. I've never felt that on this board. I have nothing against CB towing or whomever. CB towing did the work. I have nothing against paying them. It's almost $1,000, $980 or something like that. But it's not that I want to punish CB towing. That has nothing to do with it. In order to pay them, I'm trying to decide whether to change my vote, but I don't think it should be, anything like this should be handled like this again, Tom. I don't. I think with this, we're tossing balls here, and you knew it. We haven't come to a resolution of the problem. When we had a chance to do a win-win a year ago, I think. I think there's some big vindictiveness here or something. I'm at a loss for words, really.
Well, I think I'm losing my microphone. I think I'm losing my microphone, but I will speak to that. So it is my job to look out for the town and the town's property. And the town's property is in fact on a flat, and some other gets picked up here and there by long-term adverse use. But if you start chunking out pieces of property in order to give a piece here and take a piece there, at such time as this town, and this town will be here a long time, at such time as this town starts trying to put in underground utilities, underground fire, water lines, underground sewer lines, underground things, you got to have your streets open and usable. So conserving town property, I'm not interested in giving away town property. And that's how I see this. That's what this is. State statute says the following are considered public highways. And all that requires is a long enough period of time of use without complaint by the owner, and it becomes a public right of way.
Okay, and
that is what happened. And our attorney has pointed that out.
In open meeting, and I'm gonna make a motion to call the question here in just a minute. But in open meeting, I asked our attorney and he said, yes, there are other options. Yes, there are win-win situations, but I think that we're off topic. I'm going to change my vote so that CB towing can get paid that horrendous amount of money, which I think it is a horrendous amount of money. But I want to go on record as that we as a town are not necessarily going to pay for people in this situation, or for people who have private property on town streets. But, so what do we need to do? And I'm.
Well, so you can make a motion. Go ahead, Ed.
So given what the town attorney has said, since we are all agents of the town, you won't have a problem tomorrow when I call a tree company to come in and trim up the tree that is causing this mess.
Amen.
It's the same thing, Tom.
No, it is not.
Yes,
Sure it is.
That,
It is.
people don't drive into that tree.
They're driving around it on the private property to miss it. That's the problem. Issue is,
Now, the issue's the bridge.
no, it's not the bridge. The lane of traffic is to come off the porch lane and go left to straight, not to go up the river. That's the flow.
No,
We're getting way off topic.
we are off topic. Okay, let's get back on here.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to call the question.
Second.
Okay, so let's clarify the question.
Could the clerk read the motion?
We don't have an open motion. Somebody needs to make a motion.
Yeah,
Oh, because it died. Right.
make a motion to pay it. Somebody.
This is Jared, and I make a motion that we approve the disbursements as noted on the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Disbursements are approved.
You could explain to Marie that we had, because the question was called, we had to move on, so I don't know. She evidently.
Yeah, we're gonna move on from this.
Because the question was called, we can't discuss it anymore.
Okay, so now we get to discuss with possible action, adopting resolution 2024-7 regarding unpaid boards or workers' compensation. So Sarah.
This is a housekeeping resolution. We do this every year. What this allows us to do is to provide some insurance for those who volunteer on behalf of the town. We just have to make the official motion that that's how we're going to cover our volunteers
So this happens yearly?
every year.
So I do have a question on probably Sarah. So if we pass this resolution to the unpaid workers, that they're not included in workers' comp, basically.
Correct.
So,
I can't hear you.
okay, sorry, I need to close. So my question is that even before Ramon and I were seated on this board, Ramon brought up about a pay increase, a compensation increase for mayor, trustees, and even commissioners. And that has been on the agenda under updates and planning discussion ever since. And I noticed tonight that it's taken off. My real question though regarding this particular topic is if we pass this resolution and let's say we bring it back, we bring the commissioner pay and so forth back up within the next year, can we go ahead and do that? Or are we stuck for a year with this resolution? Can't pay it.
So you'll notice that this resolution is titled unpaid boards. So if they become paid, they would no longer fall under this resolution.
Thank you.
I have a question for Sarah. Is there no way we can make this an ongoing resolution instead of having to do it every year?
No, the state requires it yearly.
Okay, and I'll move adoption of resolution number 7, series 2024.
I'll second what you said.
All right. It has been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 7, series 2024. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, here we are to the fun one. Discuss with possible action accepting a bid for the 2024-2025 snowplow season.
Would like to do this.
How many bids are we talking?
3.
And all were sealed? You just opened one.
2 were sealed, 1 was sealed and emailed, and 1 was the snow removal agreement that GVE previously sent. They would like us to use that as their bid.
So
And that was public on the website.
Okay, then are we ready to read through those then?
can I,
Do you have a question?
I think, a suggestion. I would like us to be open, voting, not silent voting. Not secret ballot.
So, Jerry has requested that we do this openly rather than by ballot. Is everyone happy with that?
I'm fine with that. I'll make another suggestion.
I can't hear it.
As far as the process, I'm fine with voting that way so everybody knows who's voting for what.
Okay,
But I would suggest Sarah read the first, second, and third proposal. And we discuss it.
yeah. Well, I think it needs discussion. It does need discussion. I expect this will get a lot of discussion. I don't know.
I'm just gonna pull up the RFP real quickly here so that, if anybody has questions about what was listed in that, it can be compared to the bids that were submitted.
Send the RFP to us. So
Sorry, what?
you didn't send the RFP to us.
Are you asking me or are you?
Yeah, no, I'm asking if you did.
I could not possibly recall. I'm sure
Okay.
you got it when we had a meeting about it and you voted on it. But after that, I don't recall.
But there was supposed to be some changes to it when we voted on it. So I was gonna look, pull it up. If you didn't send it to us.
Okay. Do you want me to just read through one at a time, or do you want to go through different aspects of RFP and then compare and make notes for each bidder? What would work best for the board? So what we're looking at here is primarily insurance requirements, which once a successful bidder is chosen, then they can indicate that they have obtained the necessary insurance. So these three might not all have that in place at this time. Equipment to be used is one of the parameters that was going to be discussed. Number of employees or personnel available to plow. A lump sum / per occurrence cost proposal for the identified segments. Proposed plowing initiation time for snow events and professional experience with snow removal. Let me know if you need me to repeat any of those.
Repeat that last one, please. last
Professional
sentence.
experience with snow removal.
Okay, and the one before that,
Proposed plowing initiation time for snow events.
okay, and so then the one for that was per occurrence?
And then the bid cost was a per occurrence cost. That's what the town requested. So if you want, I can go through and we can just do point by point. So I could go at each proposal and list out the equipment that to be, would you like to do it that way? Or would you like to just go through one proposal answering all these questions?
I'd kind of like to hear the proposals first and then.
You want me to just read all these?
Okay,
Okay.
I think that's fine. Let's just read them.
Okay, so this is a bid proposal for snow removal services. Elevated vacations. Introduction. Elevated Vacations is pleased to submit the bid proposal for snow removal services for the winter season 2024-2025. Our commitment to providing efficient and reliable snow removal will ensure that the town of Pitkin remains accessible and safe through the winter months. Scope of work, consistent plowing. Our services will cover the plowing of approximately 30 blocks within the town. Service frequency, snow removal services will be conducted as needed, ensuring timely response to snowfall events. Pricing structure, base rate $950 per occurrence for snow removal. Again, that's $950 per occurrence. Additional charges. If the snow removal takes more than 5 hours to complete, an additional charge of $150 per hour will apply. Equipment. To ensure the highest quality of service, we will utilize the following equipment. A 2024 Kubota skid steer with snow blower. A 2024 Kubota skid steer with snow bucket. 2016 Ford F550 with snow plow, and then there's backup equipment, a Bobcat skid steer with a snow bucket, and a Bobcat skid steer with a snow blower.
Okay, hang on just a second, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to back up a bit too. Go ahead, Ed.
I'm just trying to catch up on writing.
So we had a cost per occurrence of 950, is that correct?
Yes, and if it takes more than 5 hours, an additional charge of $150 per hour.
Is that a backup skid steer, correct, and lower?
Correct. I don't know if this is two different skid steers or one skid steer with a bucket or a snow blower. But it's listed as two pieces of equipment, a skid steer with a snow bucket and then a skid steer with a snow blower.
So initiation setup was how much? The,
The base rate?
Yeah.
$950.
right,
$150 per occurrence, plus
No
$150
setup,
per
just-
hour above 5 hours.
above 5 hours.
Correct.
And then was there a response? No, so that just starts it. Okay,
Just, right, for the first 5 hours, $950.
okay. No setup, no response time, no, nothing. Okay. So it would, so this is just me figuring. So if it's more than 5 hours and it was 150 an hour, so that's 750 if it was just 5 hours at 150. So he's figured his initial response time into the 5 hour figure at 9:50?
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, yes, okay. And then, back to, so we have insurance and equipment, sounds good. Back to number of personnel, what did we say on that?
Insurance says that they will provide general liability. There's no comment on workers' comp. And there's no comment on additional personnel for plowing. There is no comment on plow initiation time and no comment on experience with snow removal.
No comments on adjacent? Is that what you said,
No
adjacent?
comment on initiation time, like what time of day
Oh,
they'd be
okay.
prepared to get started. No
Right.
comment on workers' comp. No comment on experience. And no comment on additional personnel.
Okay,
Let me know when you're ready for the second bid. Or proposal.
okay, we think we're ready.
Okay, so, proposal number 2 is from Porch Creek Company. Porch Creek Company proposes to remove snow from the town of Pitkin streets and alleys as found in the RFP for the 24-25 snow season, November 1st to May 31st, for the rate of $1,150 per occurrence, with a maximum of 7 hours machine time per occurrence. $1,150 per occurrence with a maximum of 7 hours of machine time per occurrence.
Okay. About the same.
Sorry. How many, the
So,
maximum of
7 hours.
seven?
is there anything for over 7 hours?
No.
Hourly rate?
No, I can look back though. We got hourly rates from GE for a couple of years. And I can look back if the town is interested. For the past couple of years, we received hourly rates from GDE. And if the town is interested in knowing the average number of hours that were spent plowing, I can look back. It'll take me a couple of minutes, but I can find that.
I would be interested in knowing the average hours.
Okay. So, I'll just keep going with this while I look for that. The equipment used primarily will be a Bobcat 863 with a snow blower attachment. Other equipment that is on call or may be used during each occurrence is a Bobcat 575 with a bucket or snow blower and an IT-28 cat loader with a 10-inch snow blade.
IT-28.
Cat loader
Okay.
with a 10-inch snow blade. No, that's 10 foot, sorry.
Yes.
With a how many foot
10
blade?
foot?
10 foot. So any comment on personnel?
Porch Creek Company has 2 primary operators, but has up to 3 additional employees at our disposal. So it looks like up to 5. 2 primary operators, up to 3 additional employees. It does say beyond 7 hours of machine time, a rate of 150 an hour is expected on any given piece of equipment.
That's past 7 hours.
Correct. So up to 7 hours, 1,150. Additional hours, 150 per hour. With regard to start time, it says Torch Creek Company would like to start concurrently with the county or just shortly thereafter. Intersections with Gunnison County plow streets will be cleaned out after the county has finished plowing. Repeated opening of the intersections due to multiple plowing events in a day are covered, as long as it doesn't exceed the 7 hours of machine time. This also says Porch Creek Company will be available should streets become drifted in on the days following storm, as they often do. This work can be performed at the hourly rate. Experience, it says Porch Creek Company experience is plowing the town streets beginning the winter of 2017 through the end of winter 2021 and all the years in between. And with regard to insurance, it says Porch Creek Company will have the proper liability insurance in place as we have had in the past if the contract should be awarded to us. And it also says that electric and phone things need to be marked before the first snow event.
What was that last? I can,
That electrical boxes and phone pedestals and other such things need to be marked before the first snow event. Then let me know when you're ready for PBE.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay. So Gunnison Valley excavation. I'm just trying to find the information here. Okay, so a per occurrence rate of 1,300 for snow removal services.
say again,
1,300 per occurrence,
Per occurrence.
correct? This says additional operator and backhoe can be requested if conditions or responsibilities require for an hourly rate. But they don't have an hourly limit. So I don't know if this means if the town wants the plowing done faster, they can send out a second piece of equipment. That would be my interpretation, because they don't have an hourly limit for each occurrence. As far as the resource plan, it says there are 2 owner operators and 2 machines capable of handling snow removal in Pitkin. Okay, the primary, no, they don't list. Okay, sorry, here we go. A JCB skid loader with a hydraulic plow and or snow blower attachment. And it says that's included in the flat $1,300 per occurrence rate. In the event of machine breakdown or personal sickness, there will be a backup machine and or operator. They did not list a proposed plowing initiation time in this contract. Let me just double check and make sure I'm not missing it. I do not see a proposed initiation time. And they did not list their experience with snow removal in this contract.
Does it,
I do see on Gunnison Valley, just,
You're not seeing it tonight.
I do see on Gunnison Valley, proposal. for- they say they estimate a 6-inch snowfall will take 6 hours of machine work and 2 hours of mobilization. Like, it's an estimate.
isn't there a mobilization cost listed in there?
No, there's not. They have a per occurrence rate of $1,300. It's a flat rate that includes whatever it takes for them to get out here and plow.
Okay, I'm sorry.
In the past, when they were doing hourly, they did have a mobilization cost. And then last winter, they switched over to this, flat per occurrence rate. And so that's what this is discussing in this particular, agreement proposal.
Is there an hourly rate if it goes more, if it's more than 6 hours?
They don't limit it to 6 hours.
They just,
They
so
can
it's
pay for,
just
it was
per
for
occurrence.
illustration purposes. There's not a limit.
Okay.
There, you find average hours for the time.
Sure. So I pulled up a couple of not recent, back when they were doing hourly. So here are some hourly. Do you want it with or without the mobilization? They do have them. Okay, 5 hours, 4 hours, 8.5 hours, 5, 4.75, 5.5, 8.75. And then we have 7 and 6. And I can keep going if you'd like me to look for some additional. Let's see.
Like the average is 5 unless it's
This looks like a few that are 5. This one is for something else. That was for dish work. Six hours. Six hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 6.5, 6, 6, 7.5. If you'd like me to keep going, let me know.
that's
Can you quickly count the number of occurrences?
If you want to maybe discuss amongst yourselves, I will do the math and I'll let you know the average of all the ones in this spreadsheet. It looks like we're looking at an average of 6.2 hours per occurrence.
And how many occurrences?
18.
What?
18.
6.2 hours per occurrence.
6.25 for over 18 occurrences. Sarah, can you remind me of what the projects and years is maybe? 2017 through 2021. Thank you.
Yeah. Don't trade the stuff from them. By the yard.
Ready, Tom?
All right, has everybody had a time to do some figuring? Okay, any discussion on this? Pedro?
Well, I'll start off now.
Yeah, hold it close.
Comparing these, they, we don't, it would take a little bit longer to go into all the details on the timing, how many hours under and over and whatnot. But the cost is actually pretty similar on all three overall. I don't see where the cost, because of the way things break down, I don't see any difference in it. The other things that I wrote down as considerations are quality. The one who has been doing it the last few, I'm not sure, 3 years, 3 years. Apparently the quality, there's been some complaints about, which I was unaware of. I know that Quartz Creek Company did a good job in the years that they were doing it. The other one doesn't have any experience to judge that. Reliability. And by that, I'm not talking about the reliability of the equipment, although certainly that's important, but I would just assume that someone doing this job could handle their equipment and whatever problems they have to deal with. But I'm talking really the reliability of service. And I didn't hear complaints about Gunnison Valley excavation, nor did I ever hear, or don't recall hearing complaints about Quartz Creek Company when they were doing it. And I know that other work I've seen from Quartz Creek Company has been outstanding, really. Timing, I like the fact that Quartz Creek Company is local. They're one of the things that I don't think, or maybe I didn't hear it all, but on the Gunnison Valley is if we need them to come back following an event, I would assume that's going to cost quite a bit of money, and the other two are local. And then finally is experience. Elevated has none, and the other two have multiple years of experience with snow plowing in Pitkin. That I give the, I didn't put a number on those, but overall, I rate Quartz Creek Company the highest. I'll stop there.
This is Tara, and I can't take exception with anything that Ramon said. Denison Valley, I never had a problem, never heard a complaint. And always, the years that Quartz Creek did it was very satisfactory. And of course, they're local, pay taxes in this town. And so with experience, mostly due to the experience factor, the years of experience, I would support Quartz Creek.
Well, this is Tom, and I was looking at the averages that Sarah gave us, with 6.25 hours being an average billing for 18 occurrences. And then I tried to run some math, and these two guys are, well, let me start off by saying that Gunnison Valley excavation, in my opinion, with 1,300 per occurrence with no additional rate quoted in this particular, still at 1,300, they were higher than our other two bidders at, so Quartz Creek Company at 1150 with a 7-hour maximum and then 150 after is a better rate. And so is Elevated Vacations at 950 with a 5-hour max. But with the 6.25 hours on average, we're going to be looking at like $1,137 with Elevated Vacations at 6.25 hours, and 1,150 with Quartz Creek with a maximum of 7 hours. So they're real close. I suppose at some point we'll vote. So I'll just leave it at that for now. They're real close.
Thomas is Ed. So the first thing I looked at is insurance. I think all three provide insurance. All three have very good equipment. It's like I did the similar math that you did, Tom. 6.2 hours is 1130 for Elevated Vacations, 1150 for Quartz Creek, 1300 for Gunnison Valley. So the bids, two of the bids, I think, are extremely close. If we have 5 hours or 6 hours, Gunnison Valley's kind of high.
Can I just interject?
Yep.
Gunnison Valley has a 1,300, that's it.
It's a flat fee.
It's a flat fee, so it would get up to 1,500.
I didn't say 15.
I misheard, I
Oh,
apologize.
so 13. Sorry. So the other thing that I look at is two of the bidders live here in town locally. If we need to call them back, we know either one of them will, because last year, both of them actually backed up Gunnison Valley on a couple of occurrences. And took care of some snowplowing we needed to do, either when Gunnison Valley wasn't called out, or even later on in the day after they were gone. I agree, Quartz Creek has had 4 years experience doing the snowplow. I do believe Elevated Vacations spent quite a bit of time behind that plow and snowblower last year, going around town and opening up berms that were left by the county. Elevated Vacations, of course, big company, both pay taxes in the town of Pitkin. One generates significant amount of sales tax in the town of Pitkin on goods that are sold, goods that are rented. Like I said, on equipment on all three, I think are very similar. I personally like the two that are in town. They're extremely close on prices. I think both of them could do the job very well.
Certainly would concur with all of those comments also.
Well, are we ready for a decision? Sure.
Testing. One thing I'd like to mention is Quartz Creek. It's got that 10-foot loader.
I'm sorry.
Quartz Creek Company has that 10-foot loader, and the other folks don't, and it's available. Years ago, when the county plowed up here, they would bring that loader with significant snow, and plow between my street and Quartz, between the 11th and 12th. And the snow would get pushed up on the west end of the wetland, sometimes 15, 18 feet high. Okay. Snowboard, not gonna do it. So they're the only ones that can bid that have that 10-foot loader. And that could be important. It's not sure. It's one element of this. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Adams.
This will be the first winter that my cabin is open and people are living there all winter. Maybe I missed this, but I thought there was a list or something that went out if you want to do stuff plowed or wanted to be cleared. Is that already happened? Am I too late on that?
You'll be plowed.
Or what Quartz Lane in 6? Or?
No, not in Porch Lane. Yeah, that's been at the post office for maybe a month now.
Okay.
But you can still email and get problems.
All right, thank you.
All right then. I guess we'll just come down through the list and we'll see who is in favor of what. That's the only way I know to do it. Sure, Jerry wants to do it verbally.
Okay.
Is that okay? So,
It's kind of formality, I guess. Do we discuss?
I-
Do we discuss the pick one first? Or
Do we discuss which ones?
Do we discuss to pick one, or do we just discuss to eliminate one?
It
Get it down
motions
to
to be
two.
made in the positive, so probably the board should discuss its pick. Then somebody would make a motion and then each person can vote yes or no individually. So that,
So a discuss and pick. And then each person would vote,
right. So,
but you're only gonna vote for one of these guys.
well, so what would happen is the board would discuss and make a preliminary choice, then a motion would be made. Motion to award the bid to XYZ. And then each person would say yes or no. And if it doesn't pass, then I guess you could try another company and do it again. But we need to have a motion that lists it in the affirmative. So
Motion to
Pick a
accept
company.
one of the
to accept,
proposals.
right? And then everybody votes yes or no.
All right then.
So I think we've already discussed, but have you
Huh?
voiced your,
Well, so if I was gonna start, I would start with, yeah, see, and so maybe there's just a bit more discussion. Sarah, you clarified that this Gunnison Valley excavation was $1,300 per occurrence with no other strings that you could see.
Correct. And I realize that that's not within the bid specifically, but that is 100% how their contract worked last year and how it works this year, is that it's just a flat when they come up here. If it takes them 2 hours, if it takes them 12 hours, it's the same price. It's the same price. So there's no hourly limit with an additional hourly.
Still more. Okay. Well, Jerry, let me ask you, would you rather just do this on a ballot? Or shall we just come down through these and,
I, that was your ready for a motion. I was thinking-
okay, Jerry, go ahead and make a motion on one of these.
Due to, being local, due to the 5 years of experience. I am going to make a motion that we award this, the winter of 2024, 2025 snowplow season to Quartz Creek property, or I'm sorry, Quartz Creek Company.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it has been moved and seconded that we award the contract to Quartz Creek Company. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Well, I guess that's it then. So Sarah, could you take care of notifying?
yes,
Okay,
Before we move on that topic,
yes,
past street commissioner has always notified the contractor about 5 o'clock in the morning if we need them to come out. Who's gonna do that?
who's gonna do that?
Yes,
Can I just make a suggestion?
their proposals said that they would start when the county. That, when, I don't know if it said when the county starts or when they reach Pitkin or just what, but
It says, Forestry Company would like to start concurrently with Gunnison County plows, or just a little after. Intersections with Gunnison County plowed streets will be cleared out once the county has finished plowing.
but basically when the county plow comes up Main Street.
but the county will come up even if we have 2 or 3 inches. And in the past, I believe we only called Gunnison Valley or Quartz Creek before if we had 6 inches or more. So I don't think we want to rely solely upon when the county comes out. That's the way I interpreted what Sarah read, was that they would start concurrently when the county comes out or shortly thereafter if they need to come out.
If they need to come out, yeah, so
Not always when the county.
we need,
comes out, but it was-
Sarah, you wanted to make a suggestion, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that when First Creek Company plowed for the town in the past. If I recollect correctly, Phil just looked out the window and determined if there was enough snow to plow, and then he got to it. I can ask him if he wants to continue doing that, or if he would like to be awakened by a phone call from another esteemed member of the board or town employees. But he did not require a phone call previously, and I'm not sure if he's expecting that. Just be vocal.
And I agree with that. I guess what I would add, that maybe we stipulated 6 inches snowfall, plus or minus.
That's already stipulated in the snowplow policy that the town adopted. I can make sure he has a copy
Just
of
so
that.
Yeah, because Ed is correct. I have seen the county come up here and it just aggravated me.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there's sometimes it come up.
Yeah, so just because that plow goes by,
This is,
And if needed, saying this tongue in cheek, I can shine a flashlight across the street to, if I need to. I'm up with 30 miles.
You got the authority to order that.
are we ready to move on? Okay, we're gonna move on. Discuss with possible action, putting a culvert on 11th in Quartz Creek. And that is basically all the information that I have on that particular subject.
You have his request, don't
Say that again.
we got a letter requesting it.
Right, we got a letter requesting it.
Request.
Okay. Jake, you got anything you want to say in this regard? That's this pretty short sentence here.
Jake Schellenberg, Pitkin. So I've worked on this for a couple of years, or maybe a year now. And I think most of you are familiar with the fact that I have quite a few lots that are encumbered by access. And I see value in creating access via 11th Street and 12th Street so that we can make use of these lots and start building homes. So wasn't necessarily looking at the town spending any money. I was just gonna put it in, and so it's not like I was asking the town to pay for it, but we need access to our properties over there.
Okay, then, can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
So this is Quartz Creek we're talking about. This is the same Quartz Creek that runs down the hill here. Okay, so, with this request regarding I want to put a culvert in, you don't have any diagrams or sizes or lengths or anything.
Yeah, I think it's talked about in the past, but there's affordable options available. One is you can do a 15-foot diameter culvert. That's, what is it called when they're kind of smashed?
When they squish them?
They're called hard. That would work. And I believe the county, I was talking to a builder in the county, and the minimum for a county road I forget, I was surprised how minimal it was. I think it was 16 feet width, for a county road was the minimum. He was gonna try to get anyway. So I was thinking, you know, you can do a 30 or 40-foot culvert. Or we could look at doing a couple of engineered bridges that are designed, pre-designed for 50,000 pounds each. And they're also designed to put beside each other. So you get a 16-foot wide bridge, 40 feet long. That's technically rated at 100,000 pounds. So I've got both those options, and I would be willing to move forward with either one of those.
Okay.
I kind of like the bridge idea. I think it looks cleaner, looks neater. But
Right. Okay. So I'm kind of with you on bridges. If you can set a bridge, there are some road specifications that because of what our attorney commented on previously when you were talking about developing those lots over there, he made some comments about road specifications, and I'm going, well, wait a minute, what is that? And so I did go try and look that up. And in fact, there is a bit of engineering required in the county, whether it's within a small town or even an alley. When you're building a new road, there are a few specifications that you have to meet. And I didn't go looking for them. I was surprised to see that because, well, mostly here we deal with road maintenance, you know. But how you build a road and how you bridge it or cross it, are probably a couple things you should look up and maybe get an engineer to help you out with. Because I think it would behoove you to have some engineering, because you got soil issues, you got horrific water runoff issues periodically. I forget what year it was. It's been long ago history, but the 5th Street Bridge washed out one time under a flood. And so I think FEMA rebuilt it, and they built it to engineered specs, whatever they were at the time. So that'd be the direction I'd send is get this puppy, get some engineering done on both your bridge and your soil, so you know what you got going. Because if you got a bridge and the abutments don't hold and water starts running around either end or over the top, you got to get this thing high enough for 100-year flood plus some. And I do know that. And then as far as what kind of soils are involved in creating your road or creating abutments, I do not know that stuff, but somebody does, and it's probably something you're going to need to find out. Go ahead, Jared.
Of course, this is not my forte, but is this Army Corps of Engineers stuff or what?
met with them, and it's not, I mean, they welcome us to hire them, but they said we're not required to hire them.
Right, it's not, so what I looked up was just, what is Gunnison County's policy on roads and bridges? And the last time they updated whatever this policy was 2020. And I wasn't particularly interested at the time, so I did not read the entire document. But it had some stuff in there that I thought, when this came up, I thought, well, I wonder if Jake has chased this out quite as far as he should have, because there are some requirements. That's all I know to say to you.
The culverts that I see when I'm trail riding seem to work great in the county and in the national forest. But of course, I'm not making any judgments because this isn't my forte, but
I'm not cool with the core up here. I don't know anything. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I have mostly questions and thoughts.
Okay.
I guess to start with, I'd say the idea of putting a culvert at 11th Street is interesting. I'll use that word. But after you submitted the request the first time, I thought about Quartz Creek and what's where. And basically the farthest culvert that I'm aware of downstream on Quartz Creek is the Middle Quartz Road turnoff about a mile above town. So I went and looked at that. And it's hard to look at it very closely because it's very, very overgrown on both sides of it. So I never actually got close enough to measure it, that I got close enough where I could see the whole thing. And I estimated the size of that culvert is approximately 6 feet high and 10 feet wide, which is a pretty big culvert. And then below that, every road crossing that I'm aware of on Quartz Creek is a bridge. And the Quartz Creek or the Middle Quartz turnoff is above where the Middle Quartz Creek and South Quartz come into it. So the water level up there, indicates to me that, putting a culvert below that practically anywhere is, I don't know, maybe possible, maybe not. So I think I would need to look at some actual engineering to even decide whether it's practical to proceed with it. It doesn't look to me like a culvert is practical. The amount of water, for example, I have no idea what size culvert it takes to equal the high water runoff here, which I've seen. I've been here long enough that in the flood year, 84, 85, I believe, was the winter and spring. It's like nothing we've seen since then. But that's what has to be planned on. I've witnessed and done just some basic calculations in my own backyard where the creek flows by in a fairly flat area. And I can measure 15 feet across and just guess at the depth and measure the speed. And I know that Quartz Creek has run at and above 300 CFS. That's 300 cubic feet per second. That's a lot of water. And I think probably a culvert is not a practical idea, but if engineering drawings were presented to look at it, I'd consider it. Bridges are a different matter because that's what we have all the way down. But I think cost-wise, it's certainly above anything that the town could consider. I can't say could consider because, towns do borrow money and, sell bonds and other various types of financing, but I think for a bridge on Quartz Creek through in Pitkin, could easily be looking at $1 million more. I don't know, without, seeing some specifics, it's really hard to say. That, that's kind of the questions that come to mind as, having lived here and observed. And I'll give you some other example. The current 6th Street Bridge was here when I moved here. So I didn't see it put in, but the 6th Street Bridge consists of 2 railroad flat cars. I don't think you can get away with doing that anymore. It's held up for a long time. It seems to be very strong, but when it was put in, there was just some basic foundation put on each side, and a backhoe operator hauled them up here and set them down. And, that's not the way to put a bridge in, which the town has learned, that the abutments on 6th Street have been greatly improved and increased on both sides, both upstream and downstream. And there's, at this point, no apparent wear on those. 5th Street Bridge. When I moved here, the 5th Street Bridge was wooden. It was crossable. I wouldn't drive my own car across it, but I saw people who did. But certainly you couldn't take a dump truck across it or a cement truck. And at that time, you'd be interested in this because I'm sure you've probably seen it. There's up where you're talking about on 11th Street was what the town used to refer to as the 10th Street Bridge. That's because 10th Street at one point went towards the creek and then curved up that way before 11th Street went as far as it does now. But when I moved here, there were obviously some logs placed on each side of the creek, parallel to the creek, and then logs placed on top of that and some other lumber, whatnot. It was when I'd say this time of year when the creek is fairly low, it was walkable. I have walked over the old 10th Street Bridge, but wasn't drivable for I don't know how many years before that. So that's kind of the history of bridges in Pitkin until 1985. And I haven't gone back, but it's either 84 or 85. My memory doesn't track dates that closely. But that's when we had the flood in Pitkin. The state referred to it in Gunnison County as a 500-year flood. And most designs are for 100-year flood levels. When the water came up and reached its peak in about mid-March, which is early for peak water here, but that's what it did that year. I was mayor at the time. And I got a call. I was in Gunnison at an Elks Club. I think it was Elks St. Patty's Day thing. But I got a call from Pitkin. They get home, we've got problems. So I came home and we had already procured sandbags, just the empty bags. So there were about a dozen of us got together and filled sandbags most of the night into the morning. to place them on 8th Street. Just above where what used to be a trailer and the trailer's been removed and now it's a house. It's Rupp's house. And 5th Street. We took out, after we sandbagged to protect the two residences downstream from those, we went up the next morning and took out what was left of the 10th Street Bridge. Because if you've ever seen flooding, it's not the water that does the damage, it's what's floating in the water. So we took out all the logs that were left on the 10th Street Bridge, and was the last ever heard of 10th Street Bridge. And that's where you're talking about a culvert or a bridge now. 5th Street. The bridge there was kind of going up and down as the water underneath it, rushing very fast, was actually lifting and lowering the bridge. We decided it was a danger because it looked like it. I mean, just watching it, it could go anytime, which presents a huge danger downstream. So we removed the 5th Street Bridge. We actually got, I think it was done with multiple trucks and chains and other towing equipment, and we basically piece by piece pulled it off. Because we removed it by the flood, we found out later on, after everything calmed down. First of all, we didn't figure the 5th Street Bridge would be replaced. All we were willing at that point to live with 6th Street Bridge because a new bridge was going to be very costly, and the town budget in 1984-85 was approximately $10,000 total expense for an annual budget. But how much of a bridge can you buy with that type of a budget? Not much. Then shortly after that, we found out FEMA was going to buy us a new bridge. So we had the engineering done and signed all the paperwork with FEMA and hired a contractor out of Salida, and that's the bridge that exists today. So, and that bridge, I honestly don't remember. I don't know if Sarah has minutes going back to the 80s, but it's probably somewhere in the minutes. But I believe the cost of that bridge in 84, 85 was somewhere around either $70,000 or $100,000. That's a long time ago and a whole different economy. So cost-wise, you're looking at a huge amount to put the bridge across. But you know, my feeling is, you know, if as a property owner who wants, and I know you want to develop the property, if you think that, you know, that part of that development can pay for a new bridge, give us the information and we'll look at it. I don't have any problem with looking at it, but I think it's a big job to, you know, just the initial engineering on it and proposal on what it requires, what has to be done. You know, because we're talking about a bridge, the footing, the road on both sides of it, leading to it. A whole lot of things need to be dealt with just for the town to look at it and say, okay, go ahead and put a bridge in. under these circumstances.
Okay,
So I did have a couple of comments. First of all, I appreciate Ramon saying, Tom talked about the 100-year flood, the way bridges may be built to sustain that. I guess what I want to make sure of is that, I think we as a board should be able to give some clear direction on what Jake needs to do for the crossing across 11th Street or 12th Street. Maybe it's a culvert, maybe it's a bridge. We can't make that decision. I don't think we know, we don't know what the cubic feet per second on a 100-year flood might be. What I want to make sure, if we have Jake go and find out will the culvert work, will it handle the water flow, or if a bridge will, and there's a lot of different bridge options.
you're right.
Could be built. What I want to make absolutely positive, be clear, is that this board will not kick the can down the road. He goes back with information. We act on that information. We don't say, well, now we need this, we need that, and we try to prolong it and delay it where it can't happen. This board in the past has had a bit of a history over the last several years. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Don't do that. If he goes to get engineering, he finds out what the 100-year flood plan is, the water flow is, finds out what a culvert size should be, if it will work for a bridge. We act on the information.
Yeah,
We don't.
and then my other point was the abutments and the soil.
I agree.
Because basically you're gonna be, channeling water here and, your road level is going to have to be above that. So you're creating a bit of a dam.
I'm not arguing with you.
And, there is a bit of engineering required for what kind of riprap or soil or something. I don't know what that is, but that goes along with the bridge. And so that's part of a package of finding out, what kind of span am I spanning here, and what kind of soil do I need, or rock do I need, or abutments do I need, or what is needed?
And that's why I'd like to bring that out now. So he has an idea of what he's looking at or what he needs to go chase down. I don't want a month or 2 months from now, well, we need to look at this and this and this too.
Yeah, well, it is the Rocky Mountains, and I think you could come up with enough rock to hold. Some of these soils we have would probably not be sufficient. But that's just my notion. So that's what I would say. You need to find out exactly what this is going to take. And I would suppose, I don't know, I would suppose you need some kind of engineer expert or somebody to come out and do an on-site evaluation of some sort. So he knows exactly what you're setting on, what you're building up, because those two things have to mesh.
What my first step is to get a clear answer from the board that obviously this would be engineered. That I don't need to go spend money on engineering for you then afterwards to tell me, oh no, we're not going to allow a bridge to be put in. If I can get confirmation that I can have a green light to put a bridge in, as long as it's engineered to meet the requirements by Gunnison County or whatever it be, then I can move forward. But I'm not going to go get engineering done just to have you tell me, oh, we decided we don't want a bridge there.
Okay. I think you've answered. Any other questions?
So does the board feel comfortable saying we can give them the green light at least to start engineering, not coming back and saying, no, I'm going to do it?
Yeah,
I'm asking Tom a question.
Yeah. Does the board feel comfortable? If this is engineered from the ground up, I would not have issues with it. But I don't want this thing blowing out and going down the stream, either on the approaches or the roadway or the bridge itself. Because I mean, I have seen bridges go down the river, and I have seen all the abutment and soil that brought traffic to those bridges go down the river. And I have seen some pretty big water here just in the few years that I've been here. And so I think I would be comfortable saying yes to your question. But we got to cover the bases. The bases have got to get covered. Well, let me just give you an example, because I've done some. So you got to get enough rock or something into the ground to create whatever sort of causeway you're going to be driving on. You can't have, if it's like trying to build a dam with black soil. You can't do that. As soon as water starts perking through, it's like that little boy trying to stick his finger in the dike. You got to have the right stuff and all that. So that's part of the engineering, and that's what I'm interested in. So in answer to your question, yes. Public comments, Marie.
Yes, this is Marie Rossmiller. I think Jake is visionary in seeing potential for what needs to be done over there. And I'm gonna challenge Ramon about the history, because I can go back to the 1950s. I remember there was a bridge there, and I remember the logs, how they built that. And it was traveled a lot, bicycles or whatever. And I was really sad when they tear that down, because I remember going pheasant hunting with my dad all the way up there. Us kids used to go to the clearing and yell down to mom and dad, and we would yodel at them and they'd yodel back. So I think if Jake can put it all together, which I'm sure he can, I think that would be a great thing to be over that location. Thank you.
Mr. Kalinsky.
It's got a short prepared statement. And one more preface at the end. Since there are so many different unknown variables involved here, I believe it would be prudent for the board to instruct the town attorney to send a letter to the Corps of Engineers in Grand Junction requesting the Corps to perform an on-site inspection in regards to tonight's request to install a culvert in Forks Creek at 11th Street. Permits are required to put in a bridge or a culvert by the Corps of Engineers. Since the board doesn't have any accurate data or any permits issued by the Corps to base a decision on, I would suggest tabling this item until the requested information is received by the town attorney. The Corps of Engineers' response is reported back to the board.
Thank you, Chuck. Anyone else? Okay, board comments?
I don't have any objection to hearing. I don't have any objection to hearing what the Corps of Engineers might have to say about it. Someone wants to write a letter to them or find out who to contact. Go ahead.
May I say a quick comment? We interaction with the Corps of Engineers maybe 2 to 3 years ago. So if that information is still accurate and up to date, I can contact them and ask if permits are required to put in culverts and road bridges, and we could get a written response back perhaps.
Sure, I'll give you contact.
Thank you. If the board would like me to do that, I do have their information.
Okay, hang on just a second. So Sarah has the information. She could contact the Corps. She could see if permits are required. And we could pass that along.
Jake might have the contact information to go and try. Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, well, we, as a town, well, I suppose we need to do due diligence. Jake?
Correct. I thought I said that earlier. I have communicated with the Corps of Engineers. I had a long meeting with 3 of them and we went over everything on the property. So, but I know what they told me, but I don't need to share that with you. You guys just need to do your own due diligence. And that way you can't say that I steered you wrong. But in a nutshell, the Corps of Engineers didn't have an issue with it. But I think you should communicate with them directly.
Thank you, Jake. Okay. Shall we ask Sarah to communicate with them directly? Sure. Get us an answer back. If they are, Jake, you got any names of people you talked to over there?
Sure. Yeah.
Communicate those with Sarah. Maybe she can make this shorter than. Okay. All right. So are we in process enough here? Okay. We got a couple things left to hit on here. We need to set a budget.
How about a public comment from online viewers?
I am sorry. Please. Go ahead.
This is Pete Olson. You may want to consult with your attorney on what may be a small technicality, but the proposed creek crossing will be located within the 11th Street right-of-way. And so I think the question needs to be asked, will it become property of the town, or does the developer anticipate owning and maintaining in perpetuity that bridge? I think that's a detail that needs to be resolved. You might want to ask your attorney about that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So it is located on town property. That's fact. So we would be giving permission for that to happen once all these hoops get jumped through. And so then the question then is, who's going to take care of this road? Have you thought that far down the road, or is this?
You have to vacate the property a long time ago, and now that you do that.
So, yes, this is handled in cities in different ways, and so the town would have a couple options. The most common practice when someone is, I don't know if you want to call this a development, there's multiple homes being built, so you could call it that for simplicity's sake. Most towns will vacate their streets to the developer so that the developer can build the streets. And then the town, typically, the streets will be given back to the town. The town at that point becomes responsible for maintaining those streets. Probably less common is the town vacating the streets for the developer that developed the neighborhood and then not taking back the streets. So then it becomes the responsibility of the developer or the property owner.
Was it like a mini HOA?
So, that's probably something that can get resolved down the road. The quickest way to get things to happen, though, is typically to vacate it. But the town hasn't been interested in doing that, so we're just doing it the hard way.
Thank you, Jake. All right, back to the words that were coming out of my mouth a minute ago. We need to set a time for a work session for a budget.
So you need to officially table this item, please.
This is as I move, we table putting a culvert on 11th Coach Creek.
Okay. So we have a motion to table. Does that need a vote? I guess it does. All right. Motion, need a second. Table. I'll make a motion. I'll second that motion. So all in favor of tabling this item, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Sarah. So while you're thinking about when we might want to set a budget work session, I got a couple other things that I want to throw out here real quick. I did not get a written report of let me start off by saying no building permits were issued in September or October. We're kind of done with those. We do have a few building permits that have been completed. And 1, 2, 3. Chris, is your fence done? I thought so. I went by there the other day and went by. So, yeah. And then, and Susie, you're here. I went around the outside of your garage and it looked to me like everything on the outside, because I'd been inside before and the outside is now finished up. Okay. So Susie's Metzler's garage has been finished. Mark Hughes got a container set. Mr. Brooks, John Brooks, got a slab poured, little slab out there in front of his cabin. The 9th Street Memorial down here has a new fence on it. Chris Nassau at 909 State has the fence finished on his, and Brad Baus has a container sitting behind his house. So those are the things that have been kind of in wheeling around. And I would have put those in a written report, except I was negligent. So I will get those to our clerk at some point. The other thing that has come up is our environmental health agent has been off and on in conversation with Gunnison County. And Gunnison County has been very pleased with their inspections of septic systems on transfer of title. They say that has worked out quite well, better than they expected. Right now, we are at a currently requiring a inspection every 7 years. And the suggestion that she has put forth is that we consider going along with the same program that the county is using, and that is a septic inspection on transfer of title.
It's only on transfer of title.
Say again?
Only on transfer of title?
Yes, that's when the county does it.
10 years. 3 years, only on.
That's what the county has.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the county does. And so that was her suggestion. She has quizzed them and she told me who she would, a couple times down there about how's this working, and then, sometime later again, how's this working? And the report has come back that it is working well. And then the other thing that she pointed out is, so the town of Pitkin has a lot of septic systems. It's true. We have new systems going in. We have older systems that are in fact being replaced with new stuff. And so we're constantly upgrading, it would seem. And the other thing that she said is the number of reports that she gets from people who send her reports about I've had my septic inspected and pumped is more frequent than that 7-year thing that we're currently requiring. Most people are taking care of their septic systems. And those that aren't, well, I don't know about those. But so she wanted me to put that out there for consideration. Because she can't be here tonight. Yeah. Any thoughts?
You do that in the Board of Health or the.
Yeah, we probably would have to. And this would also require a rewrite.
It would require an amendment to the ordinance.
Yes, it would require something. So that's what this is. This
Trustees, but
yeah,
recommendation should come from the Board of Health after some discussion.
Yeah, but we're going to put it out there and let it fly around for a bit. Okay.
So I guess my question, do we want to put it on the agenda for next Monday? Or do we want to think about it for a little bit? Or do we want to put it on the agenda to discuss it, gather information, and then think about it?
I think it would be safe to put on the agenda for next month. We could have a little mini Board of Health meeting and discuss what change it takes in our ordinance and see about that. See what kind of feedback we get between now and then.
I don't have a problem with that, but I think there might be other things that we ought to look at changing at the same time. And, we had a work session, but we didn't really come out of that work session with any.
No, we did not.
With any future work. And so I don't know if we're even ready for it to be proposed on the next agenda. That's
okay. Well, we'll if it shows up on the agenda, you'll know why. I'll do some checking around with this. All right, budgeting a work session. Budgeting a work session. A work session for budgeting. When can we get together and work on this?
soon, I hope.
Soon, I hope, yes. I think I can be here about any time, so it's not going to be up.
I'm pretty flexible.
Me too.
Ed says he's flexible. Ramon, Jara, how are you doing?
I will be gone the entire month from November 1st to December 1st. Medical.
So we need to.
It's really probably, it's just a work session, so it would be a final vote, but if it could happen in November, that would be ideal. The board, we actually also have to have a special meeting in December to certify the mill levy. That's due December 15th, which is prior to the date of our December meeting.
Oh, please, no, I am not asking you to not do this because I'm not going to be here in the month. If at all possible, I would do Zoom, but I have no way of knowing if I can attend by Zoom, but I am not at all wanting to delay. So please don't think that.
When are you leaving?
I'll be gone from December 1st, from November 1st to December 1st.
Because we have a week and a half of October left.
Yes,
And
Could you get together for a while?
I'm here till November 1st.
28.
I can.
What day is the 28th?
Monday, a week from today.
Sarah, can you do the 28th?
If I can get a babysitter, then yes, I can.
I'll see if I can prevail upon the babysitter. What time do you want to start this?
6:30?
Can we do 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay,
And this is for
Monday, the 28th at 6:30.
budget.
yes, ma'am, for the budget. And then, Sarah, you have information on the election that you need to,
I do, yes, so unless by some miracle, we are able to appoint a mayor prior to this date, the election will be held on Tuesday, April the 8th.
okay, say that date again.
Tuesday, April the 8th.
Okay. And one last thing I wanted to throw out, we did have a complaint regarding pavers in Courts Lane at 420 Courts. And the town, that would be me, went over and looked at it and sent a letter to the property owners at 420 stating that that was in fact the case. And when that became a problem for driving, that something else would have to happen. When that became what?
Yeah, I'm not understanding this. Say it.
Oh, okay. There was a complaint about a sidewalk made of flat stones that extended into the platted right of way of Courts Lane. And so I looked and yeah, they extend into the right of way, the platted right of way. Not much evidence of that being in the driving surface, but if at such time that were to become, the town decided that those needed to go, they would have to go.
Okay, there's some people that have stuff in the town right away and other people can't have stuff in the town right away. That's what you just said, right?
This is the platted right of way.
Platted on somebody, and we're gonna use the non-platted on somebody else.
To some degree, that is true.
Say, right?
To some degree, that is true. And so, unless there is any other business,
I do have a question about the environmental health thing.
yes.
Yeah, that really concerns me. I think Gayla has done a good, wonderful job, and I'm so thankful for the 9 people that are standing in line. Can't wait to fill those shoes. So, and I'm being real specific here, please don't put that. But I'm serious, I mean.
Well, she has been at it quite a while.
She has, and I think she's done a good job. And I'm thankful for the ones that came before also. We always stand on the shoulders of those that came before, but I am in a quandary as to what. But we need to be working on that or talking to people, or I don't know.
Well, we do need to be working on it. Okay, Marie, you got one last thing you want to say? We're going to wrap this thing up.
Probably will be here for 3 months. This is gonna be going back away from the storms and everything. I do want to say something that is really frustrating to me. And this may irk some people.
A little closer, please.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. Looks to me like if there's a tree that has been there for a long time, And there's this whole town and this whole mountain, and this whole area is full of trees. Why are we holding on to that tree and causing a division? And be childish about just keeping it there. I mean, I do oppose things being torn down that are historic. I don't like seeing buildings going down. That's part of my DNA. And most of you know that I'm celebrating another landmark birthday. And I hope to have a lot more, and I hope to be healthy and mentally alert. But my thought is that tree has divided friends here. And in my opinion, I just think that we ought to take some chainsaws, whatever, pull up those roots, take it out of that property and clear up that spot so that it can be used by everybody else. Thank you very much. Have a great winter. Be safe, be healthy, and God bless. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I would, oh, we got one more. Keep us up late, Bob.
Okay. Hello. Testing. Trying. Testing. Okay. Mr. Gill, with all due respect, I do take exception to your fact that you did not allow public comment regarding things on city property. About 2 weeks ago, I got a message from the town regarding the wood and logs that were on town property that's behind the hotel. Today, they got all removed and everything is just like the town wanted. My problem is, why am I held to a standard and I'm expected to move my stuff from town property when there's many other people that have stuff on town property and they're not being told or required to move that from the town property? And I just want to ask where the consistency is, this policy that the town has. That's all I have to say about that. Do you have any comment on that?
I will comment on that. Winter is coming and all that stuff's going to get covered with snow. And if you're going to take care of it, you ought to pick it up.
I did, Tom, but what about everybody else?
Well,
that is my problem.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Bob.
Yeah. Okay.
Why am I being singled out?
Selective enforcement is bad.
And other people are not getting the same communication from the town as I did regarding the stuff that I had on town property. Where is the inconsistency? Why is that here? Please.
It's because we can't keep up with all of it.
Try, for fuck's sake, are you kidding?
No.
Are you kidding?
You need to start using equality on everybody. Don't just call you people you want to pick on. I think you should step down.
I'm not saying that Tom was picking on me. All I'm saying is that where's the consistency? I mean, I spent a lot of money moving that stuff, and I should have. You know, I had stuff on town property, and I agree with the fact that I was told to move that stuff, and I did move it. I didn't get a formal letter. I got a request, and I followed through with that request and moved the stuff. And there's plenty of other people that probably have been requested to do this and have decided not to move that. And there's what kind of communication has given these people via, you know, a letter from the town saying that either they move their stuff, or maybe I can get a town board member to approve to have a company come in and remove that stuff and have the town pay for it. Because that obviously happened last week.
So
Keep up, step aside. Tom.
now,
We can keep up.
now that you brought that up, it was requested that Mr. Varnell move those.
Never in writing.
It was,
Well, I'm not talking about,
it was heard,
okay, and I'm not talking about Chad. I'm talking about
Anybody.
yes. And it is an ongoing problem in the town, and it's going to continue. But we got to keep working at it.
Well, tell me what has been done specifically by the town to remedy the situation. Have there been letters sent out? Have there been any sort of, you know, threats from the town that either they move that property or else the town will move it and charge the property owner? I mean, where's the consistency here? Why? You know, I'm doing the right thing. And I did the right
My
thing.
property back. That's fucking extortion. No, it's happened. And we're sick of it. You have a board member right there that for years, people have asked him to move his shit off town property. Doesn't hear.
Please. Okay.
I think I have a legitimate request or complaint, however
It
you
is.
read it. And I don't see any follow-up from the town to provide the consistency of, you know, abiding by the rules. And this has been going on for years and nothing has been done about it. And I just don't know why.
Okay, thank you.
Is anything going to be done about it? Or are we just going to say, okay, thank you?
Well, I'm going to say, okay, thank you for tonight because it's late. We're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Okay. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Chair and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all so much. This meeting's adjourned.